Hello everyone, welcome to the TriStar Gym channel. Today's episode we are looking at counters to the prayer position escape. The prayer position escape is a really good escape. I've done a video on that in the past, so if you haven't seen it, check the playlist and you'll find it there. It's a great escape for getting arm bars from the bottom side control or just simply regarding. Okay, so in this video I'm looking at how to counter this escape. Now the one thing my partner is going to do with the prayer position, you can see my partner on the bottom here, he's got his arms in the prayer position, he's going to bump his hips, he's going to wedge his knee in, and then he's going to escape to guard. Okay, so watch what happens here. He bumps, he brings his knee in, he escapes his head, and he's now in guard. So the one thing he needs to do when he does this escape is he needs to clear his head away from my body. Okay, so watch here. You'll notice that his head is here. For him to shrimp to guard, he's got to bring his head in a quarter turn all the way out here to this position. Okay, so keep an eye out where his head is right now. Watch when he brings his knee and he goes to guard, he brings his head away from my legs, and that's the power of his escape. So what I'm going to do in my first counter to the prayer position is I'm going to stuff his guard escape. Okay, I'm not going to allow him to escape the guard. What am I going to do that? All I got to do is control his head. So look at my left arm. My left arm is going to grab his neck here. I'm going to step over and I'm going to wedge my heel in his neck to replace my hand. And now watch what I'm doing with my right elbow. My right elbow is driving into his hip to not, so I prevent this knee from coming in. Okay, so he's not going to be able to bump. He's not going to be able to wedge this knee in here because my hips are sandwiching him in this direction and my elbow sandwiching in this direction. So he's got a lot of pressure. And we said that he needed to clear his head from here to here, right? He needs these three things. He needs to bump his hips away, he needs to bring this knee in, and he needs to clear his head all the way here. So look at my position. My position is stopping all those three things. My leg is stopping his, my leg is stopping his head from escaping. My elbow's blocking his hip, and my hip is blocking his knee. So the guy's really, really badly trapped. Okay, so watch what's going to happen here. As he goes through, he's unable to hip escape. Okay, if he tries to bump and hip escape, he's just simply stuck. Okay, you can hold a really strong, powerful, experienced guy in this position, trap the neck, step over. This is what I do when I get to side control, guys. This is one of my first places I go. I trap the head, I block the hips in this exact fashion. Now, what is he going to do to escape? He has to clear my leg. When he tries to clear my leg, see, he's got to get my leg off his head. That's the perfect opportunity for me to go into what I call the lat trap. Okay, so watch. He's going to lift his elbow up to clear my leg. I'm going to trap him with my lat. I'm going to swing my arm across his tricep, pummel my palm underneath his neck. There's a nice little gap there. I'm going to lock my hands. And now his arm is trapped. Once his arm is trapped, it's a free mount. Okay, I'm just going to unlock my hands, clear his leg, and mount him. Okay, now there's a choke from here. It's not a powerful choke, so I'm not going to be covering it. I'm not a big believer in this choke. I think it's okay. I think it can work if your partner's tired or inexperienced, but most guys will not tap to that move. Okay, so here we are again. He's in prayer position. I'm going to clear his arms. But first, before I do that, I'm going to step over his head. I'm going to trap him. He's stuck in side control. There's nothing he can do until he clears my leg. If he clears my leg, he has to lift his elbow. Watch this. Once he lifts his elbow, I'm going to dive my entire body in here. This is a move I've been doing for many, many years. It's a very powerful move. I promise you, you will be using this move from white belt to black belt. It's a powerful, powerful combo. Easy way to get to mount. Okay, so I get to mount with the lat trap. And sometimes when I do the lat trap, they turn to their knees. I just put them in a darce. I didn't cover that here. Let's take another look at it. I step over. He has to clear my leg. Now, normally in a real match here, I'll hold my leg really stiff, so he has to drive those arms up. I want to make sure that when my leg goes over his head, that it's really tight. So he has to push really hard with his arms, and that gives me more of a chance to, more of a window to dive my body in and grab that arm with my body and lock him up. Okay, so that's the lat trap. The lat trap is heavily used, but sometimes the guy, when I'm doing lat trap, he's really wise. Okay, he knows that lat trap is coming. He's gonna do one of two things. He's not gonna let me step over his head, or when I do step over his head, he's not gonna move. He's just gonna sit there. Okay, so watch. This is another good option. I'm gonna pummel my hand in and wedge my body between his arms. Okay, see how when I pummel my arm in, my body's gonna follow, and now I've split his arms. Okay, watch. This is a really good, powerful counter. He's nice and tight here. He's not letting me any space to connect my chest to his chest. I'm going to slide my hand inside. Look how I put my hand really flat so it slides in. I wedge it in. And now once I wedge it in, I wedge my arm in. And then I start to wedge the rest of my body. And now look here. I'm killing this arm. Okay, killing this arm here is really important. You want to drive your hips in an arc like this and crush his arm to his face. Okay, use your hips really low to the ground and just kill the arm. Now once you kill the arm, you're in mounting position again. Okay, you've cleared his prayer position. He's no longer in prayer position. you've broken it apart. Here, when he's in prayer position, there's always a buffer between my chest and his chest. Okay, so you see that buffer here, his arms, he's always able to create space. He's always able to bump me and wedge his knee and whatnot. So I'm going to kill that space by flattening my hand here, pummeling in. Look how I wedge my hand in, and now look, I'm starting to get my chest to his chest. So now when he tries to bump and shrimp and all that, there's no more buffer between me and him. So it doesn't move me. The guy on top is more stable. Okay, so I'm going to wedge my body in. I'm going to kill the arm. Don't forget to kill the arm with your hips. His arm is covering his face here. Very important. I'm just going to see how my hips are crushing this arm. Real important stuff, so I can get an easy mount. And once I get to mount, I'm going to start attacking my arm bars and chokes and back takes, etc. Okay, so here's a few common mistakes when people do the pummel the arm in. Okay, so your partner's in prayer position, you want to pummel in. One common mistake that they do is, let's see here, they pummel in and their elbow is not flared. Excuse me, their elbow is flared. So you see the space between my body and my elbow? I don't want this space here. Okay, so you want your elbow tight to your body. If you don't keep your elbow tight to your body, see, that's what you want. You want your elbow tight to your body. If your elbow's flared, he can grab your wrist and you can pummel one of his butterfly hooks in. Okay, there's various ways to do it. We're not covering that now, but you don't want this to happen to you. Okay, so make sure you keep your elbow in tight. There it is, it's nice and tight. And then another common mistake is people put their elbow too far away from the guy's ear. So you see this space here? You don't want that either, okay? If you do that, he's just going to be able to do the stiff arm escape, which we're not covering here, but my partner is going to give us a quick demo. You use the stiff arm to push his elbow away and escape back to guard or whatnot, okay? So what am I going to do to stop all these things? Real simple. I'm going to keep my elbow tight to my body when I pummel in. And when I pummel in, watch this, I'm going to keep my elbow really tight to his ear. Okay, so I'm going to keep my elbow tight to his ear. I'm not going to put my elbow over here where there's a space between my elbow and his neck. No space between the elbow and the neck. And now watch here, if he does the mistake of trying to stiff arm, watch here, look how high his elbow is. Because I'm so close to his ear, look how high his elbow is. And that makes a really nice long lever. And guess what's going to happen to that lever? I'm going to be able to smash it with my hips, see? I'm going to smash it with my hips and I'm going to flow right to Dars. So if you do your technique properly and he tries to counter you, it actually makes things worse for him. Okay, so make sure you have those two techniques really nice and detailed. Okay, guys, that is the end of another video. I hope you guys enjoyed. I will be making more videos. I've been away for a while, but I'm back. So thank you very much and see you in the next episode.
Bonjour, mon nom est Marc-Élie Toussaint. Je suis entraîneur de sprint depuis 23 ans. Je travaille au niveau de la vitesse avec Georges Saint-Pierre depuis 4 ans. Je viens de tester le Tim Tam. C'est le meilleur instrument au niveau du relâchement musculaire que j'ai testé de toute ma carrière. Je le recommande à tous.
When you train a lot, you get tight. The best way to loose up your muscle is the Tim Tam. Hi, I'm Georges Saint-Pierre. I'm using the Tim Tam machine after my training to help me with my recovery.